Hey Jessica, how you doing today? What's happening?
Hey, Lindsay, I am good. I am great. I got to ride an exercise bike this morning, so I am feeling like so strong and encouraged.
That's super cool. So how long were you on the bike? Working the knee.
Probably like 10 minutes, I guess, is a big deal.
Okay. Good. I mean, we have to start somewhere, right? We have to rebuild, start somewhere, move up from there, and that's the way to do it. So our listeners
Yeah,
know that you've been injured, you've had your ACL, it was torn back about a month and a half ago, and you're rebuilding. I'm glad to hear
yeah.
that.
The slow process, and
Awesome.
soon I'll be cruising the streets like you, right?
Yeah,
Because
that's
you
right.
were
I was
riding this
cruising
morning. Yeah.
I was cruising the streets in the pouring rain this morning in Cambridge. It was bad, but what can you do? Sometimes it rains and life has to go on.
Yeah, you don't have a choice if you're already on your bike. I
You
mean,
don't
getting
have a
off to
choice.
walk, no, like
No, it's even worse. You'll give yourself more time to be pounded by the pouring rain. So,
exactly,
anyways,
exactly. All
yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah.
so IELTS. We're here to talk about IELTS.
Let's get back to the main point here, IELTS. And so we had a good question from one of our listeners. Our listener wanted to know how to structure an essay when it comes to an argument, right? Should we always put both sides of the argument in
Mhm.
the essay, or should we just focus on one side of the essay? Great question, right, Jessica? And Jessica,
Yeah.
which writing task is this for? Is this for task 1 or task 2?
Yeah, so this is for task two. So
Mm-hmm.
all task two questions look the same, okay? Like there's two or three sentences that explain an opinion or a problem, an issue, and then there is
Mm-hmm.
one sentence in the form of a question that tells you what kind of essay to write. So, for example, you might see like many people today think that zoos are cruel to animals and should be closed. And then there'll
Mm.
be a question like, how far do you agree or disagree, for example?
How far, to what extent, and to what,
Hmm.
yeah, okay. So
Exactly.
so in that case, I mean, do we want to put both sides of the argument there? Is that what we want to do? Or let us know, what should we do in that case when we get that question?
Yeah, so I teach my students to write an argument essay first because that is the easiest essay to write. Writing an opinion essay, which is only one side, or some call it a thesis-led essay, which is only one
Mm-hmm.
side. That's more
Mm-hmm.
difficult to write because you have to come up with way more ideas, right? Like way more specific examples, blah, 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 for just one side. So that's more difficult, you know? It takes longer to think about that. So if the question says agree or disagree, what is your opinion? How far do you agree or disagree? Discuss both sides. All of those you can write an argument essay for. So that's when you talk about both sides, reasons for both sides.
Both sides. Okay. And what else do we need to know to be able to write this argument essay and to build out those examples? I mean, what other details can we give our listeners for this type of essay?
Yeah, so we try and brainstorm the who, what, where, when, why, how kind of thing.
Right.
When you are planning your essay, so you should sit down for, well, you'll already be sitting down, but you should you should
Yeah.
plan for five, like don't stand up and do this. No, you should plan for 5 minutes. And in that time, you should write down everything you think of to support both sides of the issue.
Okay.
Um, that's not just like general reasons. That's everything you think of. Specific examples and details. Everything. Just write it
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm. Right. We've
yeah,
talked
go ahead,
about in
Lindsay.
previous episodes how to brainstorm, right? So if our listeners want
Hmm.
to know more about how to brainstorm, come back to IELTS.allearsenglish.com and type in brainstorm, and you'll get a couple of good episodes, right, Jessica, on exactly how to do that. Yeah.
Totally, with examples and stuff. Yeah. So we've been through that
Mhm.
process before. So, um, the next step would be to put it in an essay, right? So when you're looking at your brainstorm, if you have a lot of good ideas for one side, go ahead,
Mhm.
write an opinion essay, write a one-sided essay. That's okay. But keep in mind that one of the things the examiner looks for in order to give you a 7 on the task response, the task achievement,
Mhm.
is that you include everything in the question. So if the question says agree or disagree, or if the question talks about both opinions, you have to talk about both opinions in your essay as well. So that's why, I mean, the best advice is just to always write an argument essay. That way you cover everything and you're way closer to getting that 7. You know, you have a much higher chance of fulfilling, you know, all of those reasons to get a 7 than if you just write one side.
Right, absolutely. And I think another good part of this would be getting the right vocabulary to write that argument essay, right? And that's something that we haven't quite talked about yet, right? Good linking words when it comes to writing that argument essay. Jessica, that's something we could do another episode on.
Yeah, we should do that next. Why not? Yeah,
good idea.
all you listeners, stay tuned. We're gonna talk about
it's coming up soon. It's coming up soon. Yeah. So we know that the writing section is really the hardest part. We were talking to Scott from Scott's English Success, and he was saying that he's found that the writing part of the IELTS really is the hardest part of the whole test for a lot of students.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, why do you think it's so hard for students, Jessica? What do you think?
I think students I think the nerves play a big part because they get so worried about time and so worried about all the aspects like the grammar and the vocabulary that they're unable to fully think about the question and just answer it in a confident way, you know, because I know that these students are smart. I know they have ideas and opinions themselves. But getting them out on the test, I think, is a challenge. I think, you know, what I see a lot is that students don't take the time to read the whole question because, again, they're so worried about, like, they're so worried about time and, like, finishing quickly. So they kind of, like, just skim the question almost. And then, you know, their essay is about something not exactly related to the topic. So if that does happen, like, their score is really bad, you know, if that happens. So
really paying attention to the instructions, to the question, the essay question, that's so basic, but it's easy. And also, you know, when we're feeling nervous and we're feeling constricted for time, we lose our creativity, right? The mind gets very small and it becomes very hard to think straight.
Yeah, totally. You know, I think it's very worthwhile to, before you start writing your essay or, you know, before you even look at the question, just close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. It's not going to ruin your time. It'll be the matter of mere seconds. But just this act can bring you back to yourself, you know? And so you're calm, and then your best ideas can come out, because otherwise you're thinking about all these other things that are ruining your creativity, right? Because you're freaking out.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I mean, by taking those 3 seconds to center yourself, you could save yourself a ton of time in the end. And, you know, that's why we put into our course the anti-anxiety plan, right, Jessica? I mean, that's why we implemented that module, because we realized that students really do need a little bit of extra help when it comes to how do I control my anxiety when I'm in the exam, right? It's not all about the strategies for the writing and the reading. Sometimes it's about anxiety.
Yeah, and I mean, some people just are not good at tests, right? I mean, my brother is like that. He knows, he's so smart. He is such a smart guy, but tests just panic him, and so he does really poorly. And you know, the anti-anxiety, I know, like, the anti-anxiety thing in our course is such a huge advantage. It's something that I've never seen in another test preparation course. And
you don't see it very much.
And it's for really good methods for each section of the test to like calm yourself, center yourself, and then you can do your best.
Absolutely. So if you guys want to find out how to get into that course and how to get into a trial for our course, go to IELTS.allearsenglish.com and you should see a video on the homepage. This episode is coming out in a couple of weeks, so by that time, that video should be there. Go ahead and opt in for your $1 trial for that course, and you'll get to experience the anti-anxiety plan. But so combining the skills of knowing what to do with our anxiety and also reading the instructions well when it comes to the writing test and knowing how to structure that argument essay sounds like the key to a 7 on the IELTS writing, right, Jessica?
Yeah, totally. So let's recap all of this in some steps, right? So first, I think before you even look at the question, because like you've already done the listening test, you've already done the reading test, you have been sitting in an exam for 2 hours by this point. Like you are already kind of tired. Yeah. Like, I'm so glad I don't have to like take the test. So you're already kind of tired by this point. So just, you have a whole hour, okay? Like before you look at the test question, close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and just it's amazing what that can do for you. Like that's huge. So close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and then look at the test question. Give yourself a couple minutes to read it and understand it, and then take, you know, the 3 to 5 minutes to brainstorm, and then you write your essay. So these sort of systems, yeah, like these sort of systems is another thing that makes our course strong, you know, is knowing how to approach the test and practicing these steps before you get to the test.
Yeah, that's huge. Obviously, today we don't have a lot of time to go into too much depth, but we've given you the overview of how to approach it, guys. And, you know, just keep working hard at it. You know, I think that having the right strategies and then practicing them really is the key. Even if you only have a month, guys, you really don't have any time to waste. You got to get down to business and take your dreams seriously. Because again, you know, we got to keep going back to this. It's about our dreams, right? The IELTS exam, as Scott said yesterday, is the big iron gate right in front of us. It's standing in front of us that we can't get through. We've got to pass through that gate to move on with our lives. Right. Yeah, and that's what we're here to help our listeners with. Yeah. Okay.
So, you know, just stay calm, study, put all of your effort into this. Find someone, a IELTS professional that can help you. And, you know, to get back to our listener's question, I think whenever you're in doubt, if you have any doubt on task 2, write an argument essay. You know, you're not going to be wrong. You will not be wrong if you write an argument essay. So just know that going in, and just make sure you're really good at that one essay, because that's all you need. You know, like very rarely there's a problem solution question. I would say, oh gosh, like not more than 3 a year. I mean, it is like really rare. Wow. So practice that too, of course. But I mean, 99% sure you're going to see an argument question. So be really good at that essay.
Good. So really spend the majority of your time in writing prep on the argument essay then for writing task 2, and you'll be ready. I like it.
Exactly.
All right. Very cool. Thanks, Jessica, for hanging out today, and thanks for your wisdom as always. We appreciate it, and have a good rest of your day.
You too.
All right. Take care. Bye.